Welcome back to Dom's Corner, everybody. I'm your host, Dom Martino, and today I'm sitting here with Ian Schick. Ian, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Dom. How about yourself,
I'm
buddy?
doing okay, buddy. Appreciate you asking. And today we're going to talk about Star Wars Rebels Season 3. I know I've been saying we're going to bring this discussion to you guys for a long time, and it just hasn't happened, so I'm excited to do this today. And at the end of the show, I would like to kind of wrap. I wanted to talk to Ian about some of this High Republic stuff that I've been reading, because I don't feel like he plans on reading these books, so I'm just going to give him the cliff notes of what I've read so far. Tell him how it is. And if you guys want to stick around for that, you can, and if you don't want to be spoiled on it, you don't have to. But for those of you who don't plan to read those books, that's part of the discussion you want to join in on. So yeah, we'll get into that at the end. And hey guys, before we continue here, please hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, and share this with your friends if you haven't done so already. Much appreciated here. So we're going to talk about what is one of my favorite seasons of Star Wars Rebels, and that is Rebels Season 3. I'll tell you my overall thoughts of Rebels Season 3 is I think I like Season 2 just a little bit more. This season introduces one of my favorite Star Wars characters, though. First time we see him on screen, which is Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is pretty exciting, voiced by the great Lars Mikkelsen. It definitely takes certain characters to further places, and some of those characters become my favorite characters, if that makes sense. And it has, like, I mean, the stakes are higher this season. Like if you take away the filler in this season, like, this is definitely up there when it comes to Rebels seasons. But when it comes down to it, there's so much filler that I'm not as excited about it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, before we really get into it, I did want to tell you, somebody asked me, but it was like the other day after they saw this last episode, they were like, so you gonna talk about the impeachment? And I was like, no, motherfucker, we don't talk about politics on this show. And they were like, you wanted to stir up drama on the last episode with politics and all that shit.
Wait, so they got offended?
Yeah, and I'm like, if you want to really know how I feel about the impeachment,
this is why we don't talk about politics.
Right. If you want to know how I feel about the impeachment, watch the discussion on the last episode and do the fucking math. I don't need to talk about it here. That's really stupid of people to just assume we're going to become a political show. So
no, this is I don't look. Just a side hanger here. I'm gonna say something here, and I'm not getting political. I don't care what your political alignment is. I don't give a shit. Neither does Dom. Nonetheless, this is how we feel about all of you. We love you for who you are. We don't give a shit who the fuck you voted for. We don't give a shit who you care about. I'm sorry, we don't. We love you, though. We love you as people. We want you to grow. We want you to be successful. We made our statements. We weren't supposed to get political. We don't give a shit about politics here. This isn't what this is about. We made a statement. That's it. We made a statement.
It's just a turd head comment to be like, "You're gonna talk about politics now?" No, motherfucker. No, we talked about this, and you know what? Like, it's different to take a side, but like when I mean, I'm gonna when there's a maniac in the White House who's cultivated his power for 4 years to build up an army and go attack the nation's capital, I'm not gonna stand by like an idiot and go, "Hey, how's your day going?" I'm gonna fucking address something like that. It's a big deal. Not that
it was insane, but okay, it was absolutely insane. He had incited that, as well as a few thousand other people. They all incited that. That's absolutely asinine.
Yeah.
Look, when we get down to the gritty of things, it's all about being a moral and decent human being. I don't give a shit about anything else.
Right.
But don't go attacking random places just because you're pissed off. That's like if I went and fucking attacked a Best Buy employee because they didn't refund me $50. I'm sorry. I'm comparing it to that.
Yeah.
Like, no. That was just somebody throwing a fit about somebody losing. I'm sorry. But don't bring the drama here. Look, I get it. We made a statement we shouldn't have at this point. But nonetheless.
No, I think we should have. I've said my piece, and I think that we're good here. I don't know. But that's just my feelings on that. No, we're not going to become a political show, in case anybody was wondering, but I had to have a discussion with somebody, and it was frustrating, but we're not going to become a political show, so nobody...
To that individual, I don't care how you voted. I don't care how you feel about the politics and stuff. I love you, bro, and I hope you're happy.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
I mean, legitimately,
Yeah, feel how you
I hope
feel.
you're a good, decent human being.
Yep,
That's it.
definitely, definitely. So, yeah, let's talk about Rebel season 3. Let's have some fun here.
Yeah, let's enjoy
Uh,
it. Let's enjoy the rest of this
yeah,
podcast.
get back into that. So yeah, you know what? When you saw Rebel season 3, what was your reaction to and then like overall thoughts and
I think season three was my least favorite, but I still love season three for what it is.
yeah.
I like the introductory of a lot of characters. I like I love the introductory of Thrawn. I love the introductory of the ancient being. I forget his name. This is escaping me, but it starts with a G, I believe. I loved his
Oh yeah,
introductory.
yeah, yeah. Well, we can't not mention him.
Yeah. Um, I man, I just love Star
Bendu,
Wars.
Bendu. It's a B.
Bendu. It was
Yeah,
B. My bad. I was thinking it was like Grandu or some shit, but
yeah.
Bendu is definitely correct. You know what I love about Bendu? Bendu doesn't get political. He stays neutral.
He really does. Yeah,
And that's how it should be.
yeah,
Oh my lord. Anyway, no, I think this season's good. I just don't think I don't think I think season 4 just top like the rest of the seasons top it. Not
yeah.
season 4 in particular. I think the rest of the seasons in general just top it.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's really tied for season 1 with me. This one, like season 1 is so solid in setting up character though that it's just I might have to put that one above this. And then season 2 is my favorite. I think of all four, or not of all
Ah,
four. I'm sorry. I mean of the three that we've talked about so far.
I don't I don't know what hold on a
I'll get
second
back
here.
to you on 4, but
I don't know
um,
what season I would label as my favorite, but I'd say this one is my least favorite, just because it's just like I do agree. There's a lot of unnecessary filler,
yeah, and then
world building, but still unnecessary.
yeah, I mean the Thrawn is a real plus and a bonus to it though. So yeah, but there is a lot of filler. This is the one season I'm like, it didn't need to be the 20 episodes. Like it could have been cut down for sure. I don't think it was necessary to have as many episodes as it did. But it's Star Wars that I love, and I like that it kind of builds off the canon quite a bit. Like his buddy in the Imperial, well, you wouldn't call her a buddy, I guess, but Price that he works with Thrawn throughout the season. She's like in 50% of that first Thrawn book if you ever read it. Like, so it's
Oh,
like a lot of that is like it does take things from the canon and
I'm not
builds
a
on it.
fan of her.
I'm not either. That was like
She,
one of my
she's annoying.
one of my biggest gripes with that first Thrawn book was her character for sure. Um,
She look. She does her part, and that's cool. But I feel like overall, she's just annoying. She's just there.
yeah, yeah. I'm just
She she does her part. She's just there.
yeah.
Like she doesn't feel very involved.
It's just even with that, it's like I'm still appreciative that they take from the canon and they
Yeah,
build on it. So that's really awesome. I mean,
definitely.
this is like there's like three moments that I can watch from like live Star Wars events that like genuinely make me tear up, and one of them, well, I'll explain all three of them. The first moment, the one that makes me tear up the most was the 10th anniversary of the Clone Wars panel that they did at Comic-Con a couple years back, and at the end of it, they were like, Dave Filoni was like, I got something for you guys that I want to show you, and I want to thank you guys for supporting the show as long as you did, and we wanted to say what can we show you that would really be a great thank you to you guys. And then they show the Clone Wars season 7 trailer, and like nobody knew there was going to be a season 7, and the room just erupts, gives me goosebumps every time. That's
That's
one of
awesome.
them. I think that makes me cry the most of all the live event Star Wars moments. And the second one is from D23 when Ewan McGregor was
We
at
all love Ewan.
huh
We all love Ewan.
yeah when she pulled him out on the stage and said Kathleen Kennedy was like, I have an announcement to make, or I got somebody I want to bring you guys. It was right at the end, and like nobody knew that the event was going to last any longer because they were like, well, they got everything announced. And she was like, before we go, And then she pulls out Ewan McGregor, and he comes out, and then he grabs the mic and says, "Kathy, I want you to ask me in front of all these people if I'll be playing Obi-Wan Kenobi again." And she asked him, and he just looks at the crowd and goes, "Yeah." And then the room erupts again, man. It was
I'm
amazing.
sorry, that's kind of, as awesome as that is, it's kind of cringe.
It is, but it's like the reason I think well, yeah, it's just like when you see the room explode, it's like, yeah, it gives you goosebumps. And on the same hand, it's like how many people were asking him that question up until that point, and every time he had to say no. You know what I mean?
You know, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
If he went, hell no. That would have been absolutely hilarious.
Oh, quick sidetrack. Speaking of Ewan McGregor, and I'll get to the third moment that always makes me tear up, and that has to do with the season. But quick sidetrack with Ewan McGregor is he was on the Graham Norton show one time, and I remember I'll do my best impression of him to make the story as good as possible. But he was on the Graham Norton show, and he was telling this story about, because Graham was asking, was like, how often do you still get recognized as like Obi-Wan Kenobi? That has to be the thing that you're still associated with till this day. And he's like, well, I was driving my daughters to school one day, and we went over. That's maybe not the best impression, but
not at all. I love it. Keep going.
I pulled up next to this guy, and this kid, and he tries to cut us off, and so I pull up next to him, and once I'm next to him, he starts looking at me, and then I start shouting at him and cursing him out, and I can see in his eyes as I'm cursing him out, he's looking and he's thinking, "That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi." That's like one of my favorite Ewan McGregor stories ever. But anyway, so the third
that wasn't the worst impression at the very end. At the very end, you started to get it.
I have to get into it before I could do it. Like, it always starts British and then it goes Irish. You know what I mean? So it always has to like transition.
It's not like my Hank Hill where I can just get right into it.
And I've seen that clip I've seen that clip enough times that I can at least pull off "That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi." Like, that to me is like, it's the way he says it that makes it work. That was the best.
I'm gonna do one of these podcasts where I just talk like Hank Hill the whole time.
Yeah. There was another one. There was another one too when Ewan McGregor won his Emmy. He was doing an interview like after the Emmys, and they were asking him about the Obi-Wan thing, and he's trying to divert the conversation because he doesn't want to obviously just sit there and say, "Yeah, I'm playing Obi-Wan again," before he was officially announced, of course.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting up there, and he's like, he tries to like change the subject of the question, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I took a mint before I came out on the stage today, and now I'm just stuck with this big fucking mint." It's amazing. But okay, so anyway, let me get back into the third moment that actually makes me tear up. Not as much as the first two moments, but still always gives me goosebumps and makes me tear up. I could watch it at any time. Is when they showed at Comic-Con, when they showed the Rebel Season 3 trailer. And Thrawn shows up in it, and the room erupts. That was the third moment. It always gives me goosebumps, makes me tear up a little bit, and it's like, yeah, it's just like, I mean, I want to mention 2 and 3 of these moments. There's like Dave Filoni is standing up on that stage, sitting there going, "Oh yeah," you know what I mean? Because he knows.
Here's the big question: is he wearing the cowboy hat?
Yeah, absolutely. At least during the 2 moments that I mentioned here. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. If he wasn't, then it's not meaningful.
Yeah. He might not be audibly saying, "Oh yeah," but you can see it in his eyes. He's, "Oh yeah." Like, he knows what's going to make this crowd erupt. And yeah, man. I mean, but that moment when that season 3 trailer aired and Thrawn showed up, and they also teased who we got to talk about here too, Saw Gerrera's character going to be in the season as well, and that was another big thing. And boy, is Saw Gerrera a fucking nutcase. I mean,
he's fucking annoying, and I love it.
He's like perfectly annoying. He's not like Price, where every time we're following her, we feel like we're, except for the moment in season 4, which we'll get to when we do that discussion, but with Price. But like, every time we see Price, it's just like reading that Thrawn book. I'm like, I'm appreciative they brought her in because it made sense, but every time we're on her character, it just feels like we're just going away from what's important. And I think a lot of that kills the season for me. Not
I
kills
think
it,
she
but
definitely killed it. I
not,
think she definitely killed it for me.
not
Not like the killed the season, but like killed like the
yeah,
vibe.
yeah. Those are the, like it just it takes away from what some of the, because some of the moments in here are like as Star Wars as you get. You know what I mean? In the season, it just
Oh
definitely
yeah.
is. Once, especially when we start to dive into some of the Mandalorian backstory, you know, and the moments with Sabine and Tar Vizsla and all that stuff is just
See, the
incredible.
Sabine shit was the fucking cake.
Yeah, that is what makes the season work. The dark saber being incorporated, that stuff is all amazing. The Ezra Kanan relationship growing. Well, let's talk about Ezra first, because like this is one of the moments that gives me chills in this season, is when we first see Ezra in that first mission. And well, I mean he's got the haircut this season, and
He's
then
dark.
yeah,
He's edgy.
and you know him and Maul, we got to talk about that stuff too. But we'll get into that. But like when Ezra comes out with the lightsaber in the season, it's like, okay, we know we've done a time jump. He's clearly, you know, more skilled in the Force. And when he comes out, he almost does this like flip move where he starts taking out motherfuckers with the saber, and it's like, oh, that is dope. However, I think you and I have talked about this in previous podcasts, how we're kind of upset that they got rid of his hilt on the saber. As much as I like the green
Yes,
for him,
absolutely.
they should have made he should have just replaced the old kyber crystal with the green. Um, but the fact that like Maul is still trying to get in his head throughout the season is like really makes a lot of this too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that aspect. I
The
like that.
holocron, him opening it, man. I mean, him just, you know, seeing, yeah. I mean, Maul just, you kind of find out what Maul's whole motivation is a lot more, which is to get revenge on Obi-Wan. He's going after Kenobi, which I think it is this season, right, where he does Kenobi. I think this is this season where he does that,
I think
if
so.
I'm not mistaken, and it's great.
I think so. I think they resolved the whole Kenobi thing this season.
Oh, well, definitely they resolve it, because that fight, which we'll get into in a minute too. Another thing I really loved was, I mean, when Thrawn, you know, gets Hera. Do you remember these moments? Because those were the
Yes.
best, dude. Like the Hera Thrawn exchanges
Yes.
were amazing. And
That's where you get the meat of who Thrawn is, and I love that.
yeah. Oh yeah. And everything Thrawn does is just, if you don't see it in the novels, or if you just don't know it and this is your first introduction to Thrawn, like everything Thrawn does is 110% calculated. That's why he's such a hard villain to beat, because he's 5 steps ahead of everybody throughout this. And even the Emperor. If you read the Thrawn novel, the first one, and even the second one quite a bit, well, all of them really. I mean, he's even ahead of the Emperor Palpatine quite a bit too. He talked Emperor Palpatine into letting him in the Empire, because in the novel, in the first Thrawn novel, they essentially capture him, and they look at him as kind of like such a foreign species that they're like, well, you know, the Emperor's just probably going to want to kill him off, and you know, so they take him to the Emperor, and he talks his way with the Emperor into becoming an Imperial. You know what I mean? He just talks his way into it. So he is 5 steps ahead of every other character, and that's why he's such a tough villain to beat, and why I think he's going to be somebody who's going to be very interesting moving forward.
I wonder if that's a race thing for him. I wonder if that's like what his race is, just super
I
intelligent.
think the Chosar are very calculated, and I think they really remain, if I'm not mistaken, in the unknown regions, which is why we don't get a lot of them. But you know, it's really interesting when you start to read the Thrawn novels, which I really recommend. Hey, that first one's hard to get through because of Price being in it so much, but once you're past it and you realize what it's set up, it's just really cool. And I also like how they even like they kind of overlap the time period in which Rebels takes place a little bit, because you'll hear him talk about how his exchange with Hera. You know what I mean? He refers to her as the Rebel Syndulla. You know what I mean? And it's just really cool how he talks.
Such a respectable villain.
Oh, absolutely. And he's a villain who's not even a villain. He is, but like he's also somebody who's just
He's just doing his part.
he stumbled into being a villain when you read the Thrawn novel, because like I was saying, he was captured and going to be killed before he talked his way out of it and becoming an Imperial.
Yeah,
Next,
he's just doing his part. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think I realized that because at first I was like, man, this is a fucking straight up villain. He's just a bad guy, and I like it.
Yeah, man. And I know this isn't a review for the books, but like also just the way that when you read them.
Hey, Meg, if the books have something to do with it, the books.
Well, they just inform so much about this character because, like, the way that Timothy Zahn writes for Thrawn, like, you're not just getting like vocal from Thrawn, like you are inside Thrawn's head, so you know what he's thinking at every moment of everything, because like you will hear some of the dialogue anytime there's like a whole paragraph in italics. It's what Thrawn is thinking in the moment and how he's going to get his way out of these situations, and I think that I guess my point was to bring up the books was I think that the way that Lars Mikkelsen carried himself as a voice actor, like it really just translated really well for me. Some people think that the Thrawn in the books is actually different because we actually do see the good side of Thrawn in the books, and I understand that, but the show is
Here's
just...
the thing: we barely see Thrawn in the show.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we don't have a chance to see that side of him, the side that actually has a good heart in some respects, because there are certain people that Thrawn will help out. You know what I mean? Like. And the show, because of the limited amount we see him, he's a very selfish individual from our perspective.
I'd say he's honestly still kind of like just mysterious.
Definitely, and that's what I liked about what the season.
I wouldn't even say selfish.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I mean like he will screw. We saw what happened to Price. I mean, he will screw people over to get his way, though, to get himself out of stuff.
Survival of the fittest, bro.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's
why he can hiss like a snake.
Dude, he's like, yeah, and he's in this position where he's like, he's not even just an imperial a grand admiral. He's also kind of in a position where like Thrawn's a fucking gangster. You know what I mean? Like he is, he really is. Like the way he works is like it's mob boss type influence. The way he kind of builds himself throughout this, and then the way that, and I think like, yeah, man, I mean, when they're like there's only really one person we can call for this job in this season, and you see Thrawn come out, and you're like, and if this is your first introduction, you're like, who's this guy? It really doesn't take you long to kind of figure out why they called him in, because again, when you see the exchanges with him and Hera, it's just, oh wow, you know.
he's the type of enemy that'll get in your fucking head. Yeah. I look like fucking Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire right now with how my hair is working. Sorry, it's really bothering me. Hold on. All right, you can keep going.
No, I just yeah, man. I mean, everything with Thrawn in this season is it's just definitely a highlight, and it's one of the reasons you watch the season, and it's required viewing, and just the fact that I'm pretty sure he's going to be a big part of what's going on with current Star Wars and what they're kind of doing now. I just feel like it's almost essential viewing. I mean, depending on what they do with him later, I feel like this is essential viewing this season, and even though we have some gripes with it, and
yeah,
I hope it's yeah, man. I guess I've just never had a chance to talk about how I felt about the season out loud, and it created a lot of feelings for me, because it's and you know, also just the fact that, you know, Thrawn was pulled from the Legends material too, which had a big impact on a lot of people. Like yeah, you know what I mean,
because he originally wasn't a part of canon, wasn't he?
No, they just kind of reworked him. See, because if you go by Legends, Thrawn wasn't in existence in the universe until after Return of the Jedi. But because of the way they reworked him here, it actually starts before Revenge of the Sith. If you're going by the novels, Thrawn was in existence, and just the fact that he's that's another cool thing. I just want to give this out there again from the novels. If you read the second book, Alliances, he, during the Clone Wars, he had a relationship with Anakin Skywalker, and then later worked with Vader. So just to show you that the guy is two-sided, and he'll work with whoever just to get where he wants to be. That's just how he is.
Survival, bro.
Survival of the fittest, like you said. Yeah, so it's just it just to see it all, I guess, culminate here, and especially
he is the Cobra to the Kai.
Yeah, because I rewatched this after reading the novels. See, so like I watched the season, and then I read the novels, and now I've just had a chance finally to rewatch it after the novels. And as much as some people might say that it almost feels like a completely different character. Now I'm just like, no, it's actually the same guy. We're just seeing, like you were saying, a limited amount of that in this season, and the books are just expanding on who he is.
Yeah, and I respect that honestly a lot. Hold on a second. Continue your thing. I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay. No, you're fine.
1 second.
Yeah, you're good. All right. So, yeah, while he's gone, I'll talk a little bit more about these novels just to give you guys kind of an insight. But I won't spoil the whole things, but just definitely worth reading if you're going to watch the season. That's just my feelings on it. And like to find out about the Chiss, which is like kind of a species a lot of people aren't going to know about till they read those novels. And that if you want to know why his skin was blue, that his species is the Chiss. And I do believe that they're all kind of calculated that way, and they have their own way of doing things. And yeah, but Thrawn is, I can't praise this villain enough, and because he's a villain that you're like, you just, as you're watching the season, I'll get Ian's input on this. You really just feel like he's a guy who's good at his job. You know what I mean? Like and like, excuse me, is overly good at his job. And I feel like that's really, really important to what makes that character work. And yeah, I'll talk to Ian here in a second. Sorry, Ian, we're still talking about Thrawn.
You're
but
good. I apologize.
I was saying that I think to kind of like summarize the way that his character is, though, and then we can move on from Thrawn just at least a little bit. But to summarize what Thrawn's character is in this season is he just they portray him as a man who's just overly good at his job. Like he's just insanely good at his job, and that's fantastic at it. And you almost kind of watch him, and you're like, "Well, I can't really blame him for being good at his job." And so it almost makes you think, like, "Yeah, he might be the villain, but he's not. But he is an Imperial, and he's doing his job, and he's doing his job better than anybody there." So
yeah,
I mean, unless you're Vader or something, you know what I mean?
I don't know. Arguably, I'd say Thrawn did a better job than Vader. Arguably, now.
It's debatable.
I think it's right there. So maybe. Yeah, no, I'd like to apologize. My mom's dog was barking and it was really distracting me.
Oh.
And then I was like, man, I haven't eaten today.
No, I get it. You're good. Yeah, I mean, that's debatable too. I mean, especially when you see, like I said again, in Alliances, the cliffhanger to the first Thrawn book is him. The Emperor's like, I'm going to team you up with somebody, and it turns out it's Vader. And then when you read Alliances, that is the story of him and Vader working together, but it flashes back and forth from the times where Anakin and him were working together, and then, you got Vader and him working together. It's a really cool dynamic, but...
That's fitting.
Yeah. Amazing stuff if you ever get around to reading it. I mean, there's for you personally, Ian, because I know you're not a big reader, like the ones I do recommend are definitely like the Aftermath trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy, and that Ahsoka novel. Those, and Bloodline by Claudia Gray. Those are, or I guess those are four things. But yeah, man, I mean, yeah, it's really amazing how it all culminated here. But it just to move on from Thrawn a little bit, we definitely got to talk about, well, one element to this that's really cool is Kanan, just having to go through life blind, which is a whole new struggle for him. And, we kind of talked about the Bendu a little bit and the significance of that and how much that really changes perspective. But, like, you see Kanan, like, he gets down on himself a bit. And I want to definitely commend, like, Freddie Prinze Jr. for kind of bringing a new element to that character in this season, because I think again, like, when I think Kanan Jarrus, I think Freddie Prinze Jr. I can't think of anybody else who could voice him just as well.
There's no single person.
Especially by the time you get here, it's just like he is this character, and it's really tough. He
made Kanan his.
Yeah, really, he did.
It's like with Mark Hamill making Joker his. I mean,
no, 100%.
I'm sorry, but Joaquin Phoenix is the only person who absolutely fit the role for Joker outside of Mark Hamill.
Yeah. I mean, he's exactly. I mean, yeah, Kanan. Yeah, Freddie Prinze made Kanan his, and you. I cannot see anybody else voicing him at this point. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it was in this season I think I started to realize that, like, how much Freddie Prinze actually brought to the character, because again, we get to see a whole new struggle and dynamic for him throughout the entirety of it, being blind, and you know, him meeting the Bendu, and kind of coming back out of that on the other side of things, you know, in a much better place. And you know, also his feelings of losing Ezra, you know what I mean, and all that, like, which Ezra as a character, just to speak volumes about how well I think Freddie Prinze Jr. does as Kanan Jarrus, is like with Ezra, for example, like I think like Taylor Gray does a fine job with him, but I can see anybody voicing that character. Like with Kanan, it's like it's Freddie Prinze and nobody else, you know. So yeah. I don't know. It's not no offense to Taylor Gray. It's just, you know, Freddie Prinze.
No, Taylor did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's just I think that Kanan, or Freddie Prinze Jr. needs to be Kanan Jarrus, and if they ever bring him live action, I would like to see Freddie Prinze actually play the character. If they ever did that,
hell yeah,
that
dude, I would
cool.
love that.
Be cooler than hell, man. I think he would kill it. Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of the things the season does, is it just elevates all these characters and shows you a whole other side to them, and I feel like that's what season 2 kind of teed up really well. You know, it kind of left them at a lower point, but I also like what I also love about the season, even in the filler, it kind of maintains the vibe that
spark my memory here. Is this the season that Kanan cuts his hair?
That's next season.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't want to spoil anything, so I just wanted to say it that way.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, we'll get into that next season, but
even though probably everybody on this that's watched is probably like caught up by now.
No, that's next season. That's when he really comes out on the other side of things, because that's what. Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
Okay, another episode.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing 3 and 4 tonight.
Yeah. No, I already watched all these seasons, and like I'm gonna tell you, like, just to tease how I feel about season 4. I think, like, I rewatched them all to prep for the reviews, but I think just to prep for season 4, I think I'm actually gonna rewatch that season again, because that's, like, to me, just to let you guys know how I feel about that one, that is the best one to me. But I just feel like I don't know. But anyway, what my point was with 3 is, like, I feel like even in the filler, you have this vibe to where it's like this season, it knows what it's doing when it comes to just honing in on these specific characters, and just keeping it grounded on that level. And that's one of the things I like about this, that it feels fresh when you put it up against Clone Wars. Not that Clone Wars is bad. I'm rewatching it now, and I think I'm loving it more than I have before. It's still a toss up between the two series, but this adds a freshness when we're focusing on a smaller amount of characters, and we're just really honing in on them, even though it's expanding the universe more. Which we talked about Saw Gerrera, who's insane.
Yeah,
and very consistent with who we see in Rogue One. So if you guys, you know, if anybody out there wants backstory for Saw, I mean, you watch this season. I mean, it really is. It gives you.
Is he in Clone Wars? I don't remember.
Barely.
Okay, so you don't really get any backstory from him.
He wasn't a nut back then. I'll put it that way. Not nearly as big of a nut as he is here. I mean, he's just.
It was the loss of his sister that made him a nut.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, he is in Clone Wars. He just barely pops up there. Yeah, that's why I think it was an exciting thing in the trailers, because it's like, oh, we're getting this in live action in Rogue One, and we're gonna get it here, because it was like this is a much closer version of Saw Gerrera than what we see in Rogue One, and so that it just it really makes it feel a little more complete in that way. But talking about, like, and that's another thing the season did really well, is really showing you without telling you where it's set in this universe. Because once we get to the Tatooine stuff, which we'll get into here, with Maul and Ezra and that whole thing, that is, I think, some of the best Star Wars out there. So Maul, I mean, just to describe these moments again, like, Maul goes over to Tatooine, Ezra goes to Tatooine, you know, they're both kind of on the hunt for Obi-Wan, for different reasons, but so Ezra finds Obi-Wan, and I don't know who voiced the Obi-Wan character in this season.
He did a good job too.
But well done, yes. He sounded like the Alec Guinness version of Obi-Wan that we know from the originals. It's old man Obi-Wan. I'm excited to see the Obi-Wan series kind of bridge the gap between Episode 3 and this, because I think that that's something that we all want to see it, I think. And
Yeah,
it would just definitely, it'll help it feel more complete, but yeah, it was really cool to see him.
You know who was blessed with their role? Honestly, Ewan McGregor, because he got the best role.
Yeah, I mean, he got to be, well, he just, the way it worked out with his age and everything too, right? Like, it was just like, all right, you not only do you get to play young Obi-Wan, you get to play middle-age Obi-Wan, you know what I mean? And you get to kind of lead us into the older Obi-Wan, and now
he's probably about to start playing, older Obi-Wan.
Middle-age, I think.
Oh,
well, this would be middle-age, so this is like, this would be...
he started off as young Obi-Wan, didn't he?
Well, okay, yeah, he kind of got to play, right, okay, I'm sorry. He got to play young Obi-Wan, and then he kind of got to play, like,
Jedi Master Obi-Wan.
Jedi Master Obi-Wan, who's, like, probably in his 30s. Now he's going to be, like, the Obi-Wan in his, like, 50s, and he's going to kind of take us into what Alec Guinness became, or what became Alec Guinness, essentially.
So he's essentially playing old Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but not the Alec Guinness age, because it's still 10 years before... Well, it's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So it's...
that's leading into... That's leading right into the start.
But it still makes it quite a few years before A New Hope. You know what I mean? So we still got, like Obi-Wan... I thought
there was only 10 years... hold on, no. I'm sorry. We're debating now. Because I thought it was only 10 years difference between A New Hope and... Revenge of the Sith.
That wouldn't make sense, because Luke's like 18 by the time we get to New Hope.
That's true.
So he's 8 years, so it would be 8 years before New Hope, which would make it maybe 6-7 years before this.
19 years. 19 years
19
difference.
years, okay.
You're correct.
So 9 years before New Hope, which would make it, I'm still going to say like 6 or 7 years before this Rebels starts. Either way, it's going to be exciting to see. But man, this let's break down. I mean, Maul's confrontation with Obi-Wan and how this all kind of goes, because
honestly, look, I'm gonna break it down so fast because there wasn't much to it. It was everything that we needed right then and there, but there wasn't much to it.
Well, that's what I love about it.
Obi-Wan just made Maul look bitch made.
Yeah,
and it's sad, but it's amazing at the same time.
It is.
It's like, man, I don't want to see Maul die so easily, but he got cut down.
Yeah,
he was nothing. And it had to have been due to like Maul's state of mind.
Well, Filoni, I mean, he brilliantly subverted our expectations in the way that made the most sense, because when Maul was spinning around that saber, you're like, oh, this is going to be epic. And Obi-Wan's doing his stance, you know what I mean? It's like, this is going to be epic.
Fucking stance, bro. It was just like, Maul wanted to be flashy, and Obi-Wan was like, let's just get to the fucking point.
Well, I mean, it's part of the Jedi way, right? Patience.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is he's protecting Luke, you know? It's like, when it comes to this kid, I'm taking you down in one strike, motherfucker, because I have a job here, and it's to protect this child.
Straight scene out of a samurai movie.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And it was incredible, and I think it was just done so perfectly, and I know a lot of people bitched about it. Oh, it should have been epic. No, it shouldn't have been.
No,
this was
it was the most fitting you could do. Look, he may have made Maul look bitch made, but like, Obi-Wan has so many years of just patience now. So many in survival.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck wouldn't he strike Maul down in one strike? Yes, it's upsetting, but at the same time, it's like, it's so fucking fitting. It makes sense. Why wouldn't he strike him down in one hit?
Yeah, I mean, Maul took away everything from Obi-Wan, right? He took his master, Qui-Gon Jinn, in Clone Wars. He ended up taking...
I didn't even think about that aspect.
Yeah, and he took the one woman he loved in Clone Wars, Duchess Satine. You know what I mean? Maul took everything from Obi-Wan, so he's ready to go. He's like, yeah, if you want to come at me, and you're not going to take something else I love, you know, which is this kid, you know?
Yeah, he's like, this is my fucking grandchild.
Pretty much.
He may be Uncle Ben, but he is. Oh my god, I just pieced that together.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan is Uncle Ben.
exactly. So it's you can't just take
Luke Skywalker is Spider-Man.
it's kind of true, right?
Kind of, honestly.
Yeah.
Go on, I'm sorry.
No, but you're fine. I mean, just either it's a cool parallel, but either way, yeah, Obi-Wan's had it. He's like, you're coming at me, dude. I'm taking you out. I'm letting you know right now. I'm gonna use patience. There's not gonna be any tomfoolery this time. We're just going. This is it. I mean, yeah, and it is just when you look at the contrast between how he actually ended up taking out Maul and to where he was when he first fought Maul in the Phantom Menace. It's amazing.
It makes
when you think
absolute perfect sense, and it is. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, think about it. Maul was driven crazy over revenge he didn't need.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he's going to be impatient. Of course he's going to be like, I got to make this last as long as possible. And Obi-Wan's just standing there like, all right, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's you and me, and this is where it's going to end.
Yeah.
He's like, of course he's going to strike him down in one shot. It sucks, but it's awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
It is the perfect double-edged sword.
Yeah, I mean, it made so much sense to me when I saw it that it made the hair stand up on my arm because that was how great the scene was, and
that was the best scene in the show. I'm sorry.
Probably, man. I mean, it's something that
I love it all, but this is the scene of this show.
I do think it's something all Star Wars fans should see, at least this scene, because it really is just it makes so much sense. And oh man, I mean, it was like, and it was something like Filoni did struggle with, by the way. I mean, he's talked about how he struggled with, did he want to actually kill Maul here and just not leave it open for, somebody else to take in live action? But he was like, but it was just like the direction it was going. He had the perfect way to do it, and he wanted to see it executed that way. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
I mean, with how they brought Palpatine back, you could always just bring Maul back anyway.
Yeah, true. Come on, don't do that.
We need some of these characters. It was a joke. It was a joke. Please don't.
We need some of these dead characters to stay dead, please. Especially when this one's already hasn't stayed dead. Just make it stay dead this time.
The next trilogy, you'll see. God, I can't think of her name at the moment. Padme come back.
Oh God, George.
You'll be like, what the fuck?
I don't know. George apparently was gonna have Maul in the sequel trilogy, but little did he know Filoni would kill him in this, and whatever. But that's a different topic. But the
it's okay that he died here.
No, it was perfect, man. And I mean, the way it was executed is he the chosen one in Obi-Wan. He is, and he said he will avenge us. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome. Honestly, it's sad that Maul was so indebted to his revenge that he didn't stick around to be a good person.
Yeah,
because you could see he could have been.
Yeah, I say what you will about George's Star Wars politics, but this is actually what makes it so amazing. Is everybody's fighting all the time, right? But it all started with this one stupid ass thing, which was Palpatine. And that's why Maul is like, he'll avenge us. You know what I mean? He'll
I mean, like, he's so indebted to his own pride and revenge. It makes sense that he would still go after this. Yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I'm piecing together now.
It's like it took these final moments for this Maul character to realize, like, yeah, we're all fighting over the same stupid shit.
Yeah.
All this war, it's all over the same stupid shit, and it's time to end it. And that's why it's like, okay, I hope the chosen one makes my death worth it. He realizes in these final moments his place in the story. His place in all this and what it means, and the fact that, like, if Obi-Wan's gonna lose that fight, which he did with flying colors, or if Obi-Wan's gonna win that fight, I'm sorry, which he did with flying colors, then Maul realizes here and now, if he's gonna stay alive and I have to be the one to die here, then at least I hope it's worth it for the galaxy in the future, and it ultimately becomes that, right? Whether you want to even piece it all the way into the sequels, or even like where Luke actually sacrificed himself for the greater good, and that stopped Palpatine at the very end. You know what I mean? Without that, Rey wouldn't have had time to do what she needed to do, and you know what I mean. So even if you want to piece it all the way into what we experienced recently, it all makes sense and it all works together, and like every it's all calculated, like Thrawn would, like kind of like Thrawn, but it's all very calculated to where like all the pieces need to play in a certain way, and Thrawn and Maul at this point, which is unfortunate for him, realized what his place was in the story, and that's why he
Yeah.
said what he said, I think, and what where he kind of mattered to it all.
Well, I think his death was absolutely worth it. I think his death was made worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a guy who Freddie Prinze Jr. kind of made this analogy. He's Sisyphus, where he rolls the boulder up the hill, but he can never really get it up there, from Greek mythology. And like so, and he's kind of, and Freddie Prinze Jr. was saying that Maul is in on the joke. Like Maul knows what his place is. He just he keeps struggling anyway. Because when you think
Yeah.
about the way the Force works and how it like has to keep balance, Maul is kind of the odd one out in all that balance. You know what I mean? So he's not really he he I don't know, he was kind of made useless a long time ago, and to some degree, part of him did die when he got sliced in half in the Phantom Menace.
I think that's probably why he was so indebted into his own revenge and pride.
Right? Because that was what he had. That's all he had to hold on to.
Yeah.
100%. And well,
So to the people who have a gripe about that, I think that you just need to take it as this. Like sometimes, like think of it like a samurai movie. These people are so filled with honor, pride, and all this shit, and then like even the bad guys are. They have to stick to their code, and unfortunately for Maul, his code changed when he was sliced in half. It was all about revenge for him.
yeah, definitely. Um, the other part of the, I mean, yeah, the other part of this episode that's really amazing is when we get to see Obi-Wan go over to Luke's little hut there, and see little Luke running, to,
With his fucking blue milk.
yeah, and you hear Aunt Beru, Luke, Luke, and you just run across. But I like it because the way the music swells, it's the Force theme, and it's like, it just brings it all full circle, and I thought that was really, really cool, man. It's one of the highlights of the season, but let's talk about, I think, what we were kind of saving for the end of the season discussion, which is Sabine's journey.
Yes.
Which I think is, to me, the best part of the season. I mean, the Thrawn stuff and the Maul stuff is all amazing, but it's like, to me, that's just like, it's such an added bonus to what I think is really central to making the season work, and that is Sabine's journey. Because without Sabine's journey, we don't get this kind of Mandalorian backstory going on with it, and we would in Clone Wars, but I'm saying just for Rebels to kind of tie
And
it in and bring it full circle.
during this time, we're seeing growth in Kanan
That too.
as well. Say he's talking to Bendu about changing his ways and shit
Yeah.
like that. He's like, okay, I can't see. He's like, you can see, you just don't think you can see.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. I can't remember what he said, but it was something along the lines of like, you have to learn to see, or something like that. It's like, learn to see the way you see, or something. I don't know.
I don't remember, man. I'm too tired to remember at the moment.
Either way,
No
though,
idea.
it was a really cool kind of message. You know what I mean? It's of I mean, it was great for Kanan's story, and
Yes.
when it came down to him and Sabine here. Well, first of all, we get this whole backstory on the Darksaber and what it kind of means to the Mandalorians, and that was one of my favorite episodes in the season is Trials of the Darksaber. I mean, because that's when we really start to learn about it, and then Kanan's tasked with teaching Sabine, basically the ways of not the Force, but how to use the saber, and it's a struggle for her, and this is where Sabine really became, oh damn, maybe my favorite new character in the show. I mean, she's really awesome. I mean, she really is, man. When you start to learn about, she talks about how she built the weapons, for them, and they were used for bad, and I think that stuff is really, it really shows how much her character's come a long way. And then you look at her in seasons 1 and 2, and you're like, well, damn, there really is a character there. You know what I mean? Who's growing and becoming something
Absolutely.
different than where they came from. And
you know who we didn't mention that comes in this season?
Hmm.
That fucking inventory droid.
We gotta talk about him in a minute.
Yeah, we do.
That
Because
song.
he's amazing.
Oh my god.
Is that during this season?
It is. He sings that song when he's floating around. He's like, "Oh, I'm so happy," and it's something like that. But he does it in his most monotone voice. It's like he has two
What is
voices.
his fucking name?
He has two voices going on at once. One of his voices is, for some reason, is fucking Alan Rickman from Harry Potter, or like that. And it really is one of his voices. And then like his second voice is like, it's very not monotone. And so like when he's singing a song and you just hear the monotone kind of coming through the I'm so happy I'm flying, and it's like I'll tell you, this droid, and I think that I kind of get it, because it was kind of George's intent with 3PO, I feel, but George just took it so far, or sorry,
AP5.
right. And Dave just took it so far though with AP5. It's like this inventory droid AP5 is on a whole nother show. He's not even in Star Wars Rebels. He's in his own show somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And he's and whatever. It's funny. I got a laugh out of it, whether it was meant to be or not, I don't know, but I got quite the laugh out of it, and good on you, Dave. I mean, by traditional standards, is it good? Not necessarily, but it is funny, and I get a laugh out of it, so it works. But let's move back.
If I can find those lyrics.
Yeah, let's move back into Sabine a little bit. Yeah. So I really love the whole journey with her, and how they have to go back to Mandalore, and they kind of find out that shit's going down there, and she's got to take care of it. I mean, and the fight with her and Tar Vizsla, the Darksaber, like that shit is amazing. That is one of the best fights in the whole thing.
Damn it. I can't find it.
Oh, you're fine. When the shot goes off though, dude, like, and you think that it was Sabine that got hit, and then it turned out it was Tar Vizsla, dude. Like, that moment was great. Just the way that kind of sucked the silence out. There was a couple moments like that in that fight, or even when they like busted out of the window, you just hear the air get sucked out of the room, and it's yeah, just like there was so much great sound design in these moments, and the music, man, was all so very good. Also we got but like we gotta talk about this Trials of the Darksaber episode maybe a little bit more though too, because I just felt like, I mean, it was so dramatic, man, in the best way too. Like it just, between what was going on between her and Kanan in those moments.
Yeah. I mean, Ezra and Kanan both made her feel like shit, like without them trying to make her feel like shit. They're like, you just gotta learn. I mean, I don't know why you can't get it.
Yeah. And I can't remember what Kanan said to her when they were fighting, but it was a great line, and Freddie Prinze delivered it really well. He's like, what did it cost, or something like that, And then she was like, yeah, then that's when she really, yeah, well, she really goes in and like, starts, talking about how she built the weapons, and you really start to feel for her in those moments, and just gives so much to that character, man. And it's like, damn, Dave, you really know how to build these characters, don't you? In a way that just gets to your heart, man. It's just, Absolutely. It really does. And that's Dave Filoni's gift. I mean, the other thing we gotta talk about is Mon Mothma too. We can't go this season without talking about Mon Mothma, because she plays quite the part. I really like Mon Mothma, man. I think that she's
not a huge fan.
Good character, especially when you really start to see her throughout the canon and stuff, and what impact she's made in the rebellion. And yeah, I dig her.
We have to go the political route.
I like the politics. The politics are good when they're done well. Like I'm telling you.
No. I mean, like, it's fitting. It's fitting. But God, it's just like, we have to go the political route. We have to be nice.
All right, if you say so. I don't know. That's essentially
how she was.
I get your irritation, but yeah, you're right. I mean, that is Mon Mothma's character. She's a politician. That's what she's gonna be.
I think she's a perfect example of that. Politicians are all wrong.
Yeah, unless you're Leia, because like Leia's as much as we hate to admit it, she is a politician. No.
Leia's the only correct politician.
Well, she's a politician that doesn't act like a politician. You know what I mean?
She acts like a human.
Right. She has human emotions. Which is, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's something that Mon Mothma just doesn't really show as much. You get more of it when you read the Aftermath trilogy. This is why I recommend to everybody, like, read that trilogy, man, because it's.
I apologize, but with Star Wars, there's always going to be politics because it's a political thing.
Yeah, and I mean, George set it up that way, and it was great in the original trilogy. And then when you get to the prequels, it's not executed so well, but the story itself is, and like how how like Palpatine maneuvered himself in and out and all that stuff's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it's like when the execution of it just made it put a stigma behind Star Wars politics. But when they're done well, I mean, fucking give it to me, man. I mean, I want Game of Thrones like politics in Star Wars. That's what I want. I like characters who aren't necessarily good or bad, but they're politicians, you know. And I think that really works for me. But yeah, man, I get it. Like I you know, it's Mon Mothma. You're right. She wants to go the political route, but yeah, it's a big part of she's a big part of what made the rebellion possible. So we can't just kick her under the rug either, you know. So it's so it's really tough. Like, it's a really tough kind of a thing there. I mean, what else are we missing here from the season? I mean, it's like again, it just shapes so much. But I think season 4 is the meat, man. The season 4 is really a lot of.
Meat. Ezra going kind of the dark route and pulling himself out of it.
That's true. That's true. But, yeah.
Like, there's not entirely too much other than just kind of the fight between him and Kanan. And then Ezra kind of being like, you know, I was kind of being a little bitch.
That's a good point. I mean, that stuff, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's really good and it really elevates those characters. And there's just so much of that in this season. But man, I mean, I'm thrilled that we had this season. I'm thrilled we had this show. I think it's one of the better
shows.
Oh yeah, really. I mean, when it comes to like,
because we both just agreed that this season was the worst of all 4, but like it's still good.
Right, it's still Rebels, so it's good. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's still driving the story forward.
Like as like, I want to point out, like, I rate this season the lowest, but I still rate Rebels like the highest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm caught up in Clone Wars, so it's really tough right now. There's a certain. I need to
finish Clone Wars.
There is a certain heart to Rebels that you don't get in Clone Wars, though. That's like a certain charm to Rebels that just Clone Wars kind of misses on most episodes. I mean, there's some you'll get like really great charm between Ahsoka and Anakin, but like other than that, it's like there's a certain charm to this show and these characters and the fact that they're so new and fresh that you just don't get in Clone Wars. And so it's always a toss-up. Yeah, you do need to finish Clone Wars. I highly recommend that. Watch it in story order, dude. I'm telling you.
I'm trying. I just like I put it down for so long now. I'm just like, I don't want to get back into it now.
Just push. I'm telling you, just push your way through seasons 1 and 2, and then once you're on season 3, I think you'll be good. Like, you gotta push it though, because it's like it's difficult. Because I just did it. Believe me, I had a hard time, and I'm sitting there like, oh, come on, get past it. But I was patient. I watched it all to make sure I had it all, and like a lot of the stuff. And another thing is in a Clone Wars review, but what I wanted to tell you is like what you'll find out is a lot of the things that are in season 1 and 2, as painful as they are to watch, like a lot of it does come forward and like become important later. And it's like oh wow.
I imagine.
And I found out that more so watching it this time around. Like, I guess I didn't realize how much actually did become important later, because I was actually, you know what, I was trying to be a nice fucking guy. And I was going to make you an amended Clone Wars list, like trying to take out the fillery episodes for you. And then like the more I watched them, I was just like, a lot of the stuff you can't leave out, unfortunately. There's like a couple here and there.
I'll suffer through them all. And the reason why is because like it all is world building. I mean, Dave Filoni's behind it. It's world building. Yeah. So it's worth it as much as it is like kind of a pain to get through.
Yeah, let me know when you're into it. I would like to do reviews on those seasons too, now that I'm back into it, because I just feel like they're...
I want Adam to fucking finally watch them so he can do them with us.
I want him to watch Rebels. He needs to watch Rebels. I think that he'll have more fun with that anyway, but...
No, he definitely will, but I still... Like, I want him to get into this as well, because I would like to hear his input on these.
Me too, man. I can't wait till he's into it and he can actually talk to us. Yeah, that too. You know, he might change my perspective on a couple things with him. And,
exactly.
And I like that. That's why I really want him to watch it. I don't think he realizes that. We should tell him. We should tell it to him that way, to be like, The reason we want you to watch these is so you can actually talk to us and maybe change our perspectives on maybe things we found bad and you found good, or vice versa, because he's really good at doing that. But yeah, I mean, Adam on the
It's just so well worded.
when it came to Adam on that Last Jedi review, dude,
Well spoken.
he went in, dude, on that Last Jedi review. I mean, if you guys haven't checked that out there, I know it's a 5-hour thing, but a lot of that was because Adam gave very well educated, very long statements on that.
And then another part of that being so long is because Mark and I were bitching about Rose.
Right. Yeah, there was that too. But listen, I mean, yeah, dude, this was a great season of Rebels. I had a lot of fun with it, as we always do.
Can I make one last interjection, because
Yeah.
I just spoke about Rose?
Yeah.
So I've noticed I haven't seen like death threats as much as a lot of other people have apparently, and I want to make it a point to really touch base on this, because I've seen that's more apparent than just, you know, with Rose and with the CD Projekt Red for, you know, Cyberpunk 2077. Look, man, these people are trying to entertain you. They're doing their best. I'm sorry, Dom. I have to get to this point because it bothers me.
You're fine. I'm just gonna interject real quick before you do, because mine's 2 seconds.
Go on.
This is gonna become the smoking portion of the show. Is like these last 20 minutes is because I see so many people fucking smoking on their Zoom streams now and everything, and I don't even care anymore. And if you've watched me this far, you're not gonna leave because I had a cigarette. So anyway, go ahead, Ian. Continue.
So it bothers me in my core that people. God damn.
Sorry.
It bothers me to my core. Absolutely bothers to me my core that people are sending death threats. Look, these people are doing what they can to entertain you. I didn't like Rose either. She didn't deserve a death threat though. I love Cyberpunk 2077. There's a lot of issues with it. I didn't send them death threats because I was unhappy with the gameplay. Don't send these people death threats. Stop making yourselves look like fucking children. Stop with the death threats. Stop with being assholes. These people are doing what they can to entertain you. They're giving you their vision, not your vision, their vision. This is their fucking vision, not yours. You were there to either find an enjoyment out of it or not. Don't get butthurt because it didn't turn out the way you didn't want it to. I'm sorry. Don't. Look, as a lot of people like to throw it around, misconceptionally, but I feel like that is a very snowflake trait of people. To send death threats just because you were unhappy with something. Look, I'm not going around sending death threats to people just because I'm unhappy with shit. I'm not sending death threats to the company I work for just because I'm happy with them. I'm not sending death threats to my dad for having me. Or my mom. Look, shit sucks sometimes. Deal with it, and then learn to live with the perspective of that. You know, hey, this is the vision we got. Let's see what we can do with that vision, and let's see what we can find. You know, that is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go throwing around death threats to Cartoon Network because they took off fucking, I don't know, Amazing Gumball if they didn't take it off or some shit. I don't know. Whatever the fuck they took off that you're upset about. You can't send death threats to them just because you're upset about it.
Yeah.
Get over yourselves. That's life. We lose things or we gain things that we didn't think we wanted to or needed to. It's life.
Yeah.
So please, God, grow up and stop sending death threats. And Dom, if you would be so kind as to clip this out so people can share just that part so that people can get a fucking perspective of, hey, death threats are not okay. And that's not the moral and mature thing to do. Common human decency requires that we don't send death threats. That'd be great. And if you guys would share just that clip, that'd be awesome. Share the rest of this shit too, definitely. But like even just that clip being out there, I would love that.
Yeah, I think it'll send a great message, honestly, if I just clip this portion out. You on one end saying, death threats aren't cool, and me on the other end saying smoking's cool. But anyway. No, but I
that is not the case. That is not the case. He does not actually think that.
I'm kidding, guys. Don't smoke. It's a bad habit. But listen,
it is. It's
but
so hard to kick.
In all seriousness, I wanted to go off of what you were saying, not necessarily the point you were making, but I want to say that like Ian has become. I want to say this here, so good on the mic lately in these days. I've noticed that I actually go into And when he hosted that show, if you guys haven't watched that episode, you gotta check it out because it's fucking
You're cutting out
fantastic.
so bad, bud.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay, you're good. You're good.
Okay, sorry
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't know what
You were just
happens
like
sometimes.
lagging really bad out of nowhere.
Okay, so anyway, Ian's become so great on the mic as of late, and if you haven't watched the show that he hosted, the episode he did here, it was fucking
Please go
fantastic.
watch it.
That I've actually, yeah, please, and I've decided, I'm not gonna say the title yet, but I think Ian and I have agreed on one that I think is really great for this channel, and
Oh, we're announcing it now?
I'll announce that you're doing a show. Here's what I'm actually announcing. I want you to do a show, but I gotta train you on OBS first.
Oh, that's not gonna be hard. OBS is easy to use.
Yeah, at least the way that.
Oh, and real quick, I might be getting an actual computer, so
Cool.
that'll be much easier to use with recording programs. I like my Mac and all, but I want to use this strictly just for recording music.
What do you use now? Oh, just the Mac. I see. I
Yeah,
got
the
you.
Mac
Okay,
Mini.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, and so like I want him to have his own show, so I'm gonna train him on all the OBS stuff that we do, so he knows the program and I'm not gonna announce the title yet, but I think we've come up with the title that we both agree on and that we really enjoy. I won't say
I
it yet.
really want to announce the title,
I
but
know,
I
but
like the idea
let's keep
of
that
it just
secret
showing
till-
up randomly.
Let's keep it secret till you're ready, and then we'll get into it. And I'll probably we'll do an episode where I actually put up a picture of the actual logo and everything, and we'll have all that ready. But
I will
we'll wait
design
till
the
then.
logo. I will design the logo.
If you want to, I'll let you. I mean, send me
I
some
will.
stuff if you want to. But and I'm excited to get it going and to have Ian take on this adventure for himself, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I won't really get into the details of it, but I think that we've come up with an idea we both agree on, a title we both agree on, and we'll just see how it goes, and we'll let it blossom into whatever it blossoms into. And I at least want to talk about that here, and yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
Do you care if I give the premise of it?
oh, go
I'm not
ahead.
gonna
Yeah, tell people what it's all about. Yeah.
So the premise of the show is going to be that I don't know a lot of the people that are going to be joining us. I just know mainly about Dom and Adam, but I'm still going to do this with them as well, so that way you guys get a better understanding of who they are as people as well. I'm going to be interviewing them and essentially helping you guys learn and myself learn who they are and what drives them as people. Like one of my drives is music. One of Dom's drives is movies,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I mean, like hobbies, favorite things, shit like that. I mean, like if you go watch the episode with Mark, that's essentially what him and I discussed. Yeah, we just discussed more of the main topics that Dom wanted us kind of cover, and but for the most part, it's going to be I'm going to make sure that you guys learn who we are and hopefully have a great time and just shoot the shit.
Yeah, I really like to look at what you and Mark did as a backdoor pilot, and I mean, well, it won't just be Adam and myself; it'll be Mark, and I mean, good luck diving into that brain, but
I already kind of did.
yeah, and maybe we'll get I mean, other people that have popped up on the channel. I'd like you to talk to Josh and get to know him, and
I would
and
love
just-
to talk to Josh.
We'll throw in some people. Josh, you have probably a lot in common with. I mean, he met Bruce Campbell. You could talk to him about that maybe if I ever get him.
Oh
to
my
agree to
God,
doing
he
this.
met he met the real life Crimson Chin,
He met the king.
the king of Crimson Chins.
So you and him can get into that, and just whoever else we get on here, and it doesn't you can have reoccurring guests every week, and I definitely like the one-on-one format. You and I have a one-on-one format, but it's a very different format too. At the same time, we're not interviewing each other and finding out more about each other. So yeah, it'll be Ian's own show, and it'll be on the channel. We don't have a premiere date yet. I would like to try to launch it toward the end of February. And I think
Perfect time for my birthday.
Yeah, I think it could be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what he does, and we'll get back to you on that, guys. So look forward to that. But this is a great intermission to try to lead into this High Republic book that I've been reading. So the High Republic, guys, just so you guys know, I'm going to get into some spoilers if Ian will indulge me on that, because I don't think he has any plans to read these. And,
If I ever have the time to read them outside of playing video games, then I will.
all right. So yeah, so I don't think you'll have any plans to read these books necessarily. Plus, at this point I can at least say I recommend the Aftermath trilogy and the Ahsoka novel and Bloodline and the Thrawn trilogy for Ian at this point. Man, I'll tell you, start with Bloodline. Claudia Gray's my favorite writer. Start with Bloodline, then go to Ahsoka, and if you like those two, go to the
I got
Aftermath
you.
trilogy. Yeah.
Oh, also, real quick, just to kind of help probe the minds, I just thought about this. guys, if you leave some comments for like questions, or even message Dom some questions to ask some of the people like who you want to ask directly, I'll ask these questions to whoever I'm interviewing. Just
Yeah.
heads up.
And I'll try to give everybody a notice on this show too, like of who you're going to be doing next or interviewing next. If we got one coming up, we'll cross promote obviously everybody's shows.
Cool.
That, but
yeah.
So High Republic. They're talking about this because this is a Star Wars review episode, so I feel like it's fitting to put at the end here. I always kind of like if there's Star Wars stuff I want to talk about on top of the reviews, I like to kind of couple them in together.
Which is fitting.
I'm going to talk to you about this. So High Republic, guys, the first 3 books are out now. It's Light of the Jedi, Test of Courage. I can't remember the name of the 3rd book, which is a children's novel. I can't remember the name of it right now.
It's one that I could read.
Yeah, there you go. So this one was written by it's called Light of the Jedi. It was written by Charles Soule. He's done a lot of the comic books. He's done some pretty good work there. I am not a big fan of the Poe Dameron comics. Those are the only ones I would say it's been slightly iffy, but everything else has been pretty damn good as far as his work in Star Wars. Yeah, and this is a whole new era. I think it's like 300 some odd years or something like that before Phantom Menace, so it's a while, yeah, so I'll tell you what, man. I'm pretty torn on this book so far. I don't love it like I wanted to yet. I think it's good. I just don't love it like I wanted to.
I think it's just building up for you.
Maybe, and
it's building up.
Yeah, and I understand that this is a story that's going to span across multiple platforms and all that, and so like I'm really just hoping it's all kind of set up right now. Right now, there's just only really a couple characters that I'm attached to. The first chapter kind of gives you a character that you're incredibly attached to. Yeah, again, guys, spoilers, but the first chapter gives you a character that I got incredibly attached to, named Hedda, and then like they killed her off, they Ned Starked her because it's like, oh, I love this character, and you think they almost fool you that she's gonna be like the main character of the book, and then they Ned Stark her.
That's what they did that's what they did with the first character. Okay, I've never read the books. My friend Chris did, but that's what they did with the first character from that we see from Game of Thrones. The one that
Ned Stark.
Yeah,
Ned Stark. They Ned Stark.
No. The very first one we see.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, and
that's what they did in the books with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's funny is right off the bat he was like my friend's favorite character, and then instant execution like within a couple chapters.
Yeah, and I didn't mind that either because it does give it that old timey kind of medieval, you know what I mean? Because this is kind of where it sets it's in a time where like the Jedi are, you hear Obi-Wan talk about, they were the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. This is really what we're hearing here. And so she wasn't a Jedi, but she was somebody who was, piloting a transport ship, like a big one with like a lot of different people on it, and so basically like she that ship kind of blows up into a billion pieces and she dies along with it, and like so you're kind of like you're kind of like, well, shit. And then like you go so many chapters where all it does is it just introduces you to like a ton of characters, and I'm sitting here like I can't get attached to characters when you keep introducing more. And so
it's going the Game of Thrones route for sure.
It's incredibly frustrating, and I hope that's where it goes. I hope it pays off, but it's becoming increasingly frustrating. And and that's kind of where I was at. And then the other part of it, it's like it didn't even follow up on that character they introduced in the beginning. Like there's nothing to it, but it's like then you find out like because like essentially what the reason the Jedi kind of come in as like. And what I didn't like either is that they all kind of already feel like an established team, like the Avengers. Like on one end it makes sense, but it's like imagine the Avengers without any setup for the Avengers. You know what I mean? And we just had the team up movie without anything before it, and that's kind of
honestly probably would have been really bad.
That's kind of the feeling I was getting here. And now luckily because they all kind of came in because they're in a town called Hetzel, the Hetzel system. It's like Hetzel Prime. And like they have to stop these like anomalies that are like falling from the sky, and like what I did enjoy is like by the time you get around to the 8th chapter or so, and of course I haven't finished this book, so I'll get around to it. But by the time you're like in the 8th chapter or so, you finally find out that the anomalies that they're stopping from the sky are parts of the ship that the girl was piloting in the first chapter. So you're like, oh, thank God they followed up on that. And so that's why the Jedi are coming in, and there's like actually living beings still on the transport, so they didn't all die when it kind of blew up into the billion pieces or whatever. So there's like the living beings are on there. That's why the Jedi are coming in. And so like every chapter is just like, I mean, it's something different. Not something different, but it feels like it just keeps introducing more and more characters. And I'm just not a fan of it being like, it feels like this team up movie without any setup to the team. And like it's kind of starting to develop characters as we go though. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about it. And the other thing I got to give a credit on is it actually, what it ends up doing is like the dialogue is actually very Star Wars. Like when you're reading like things that characters are saying, it's very Star Wars. So I'll commend Charles Soule on that. But when it comes down to, again, like the team, the people that are the Jedi themselves, it's like I'm not familiar with any of these Jedi, which I want new characters. I just didn't realize there were going to be so many characters that I had to get attached to. And so it's like, yeah, it's definitely going to take like a lot of novels and shit to like actually start to get attached to like you were saying, Game of Thrones. And so like I'm excited to get attached to them. I'm just not feeling it yet. So right now at this point, I'm a little bit more torn on the book, and the only kind of attachment that they give for most of them, a couple of them have gotten a little bit more, but for most of them, it's just felt like they're kind of relying on their cool lightsaber colors and things like that to try to get you to like these characters and just little details like that, rather than, oh, this is what they look like, these are the personality traits, here's some backstory. I don't know. I guess I'm a backstory first type of guy. You know what I mean? And like it just, they're gradually fleshing it out as it goes. So very torn on it, but yeah, it's really different though. Like that's one thing I'll say. Like when you're reading it, it's a very different vibe, like than every other Star Wars piece of Star Wars material out there. Because obviously we're in a whole new era here, and it just feels really different. And that's the other part of it is like I'm not feeling many stakes yet. Like obviously I want them to stop this ship from crashing and save these people, but like I'm not feeling like the high stakes of anything yet. And it feels very, I don't know, it's like Star Wars, but like everything's good, it's like, oh, just another day on the job, we're going to stop a ship, you know what I mean? And it's like all's good in the galaxy. It's peaceful, we keep the peace. So it's really interesting. So yeah,
it's definitely doing some building.
Yeah, I hope it gets great. I'll follow up with you on it next time we meet here, but I mean, because I'm gonna try to read over it the next couple of days. But hey guys, thank you for joining. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends. I appreciate that very much. We'll see you guys again on it'll air on Saturday. We'll talk about some news. I'll have probably a couple more movies to review by then. Definitely gonna really push hard to try to get all the clip outs and everything caught up by then too. So our channel will be completely up to date. So that'll be lovely. And I'll try to, after that's all caught up, I'll try to actually stay on top of it for the rest of the year. That's my resolution. So, yeah, definitely just keep tuning in, guys. We'll have WandaVision we're going to break down probably at the end of next week. So, yeah, just keep tuning in. And if you like the content here, do as instructed, please. And Ian, before we leave here, where can the people find you?
I'm gonna drop a couple things. You can find me at Instagram and YouTube at jewtacularian, and I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you guys to my my Twitch, because I might start streaming there now, depending on what happens with if I get a computer or not, or if I just decide to start streaming randomly. Not as active, but it's all the same name. It's all jewtacularian. I believe on Twitch it's jewtacular_Ian. It's been so long since I actually used it. I'll have to send Dom a link for it. But yeah, you can find me there. And I mean, if you have any questions for me, shoot me a DM on Instagram. My shit should be open. Yeah.
And the more you guys follow us on, multiple platforms, the more you guys hit the like button here, the more you guys follow on the audio only, platforms and things like that, the more easier it's going to be for me to bring in other pieces of the crew here. So we can get Adam Leach in if you want it. You can get Josh Richards in if you want it. It'll just be easier to get them over. So just make sure you guys are doing that, and keep tuning in. That's the important part. If you like the content, just keep tuning in. So thank you guys for joining again. This has been another episode of Dom's Corner, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. Thank you.